Hi, everybody. I'm back. I told you I was going to come back. I'm Cheryl Abram, and this is Cyber Training with Epiphany. And I am very happy to say that I have just passed my Security Plus. And I told you all about it. If you're on Facebook, you saw that I passed, or on LinkedIn or whatever, and I said I was going to make a video, and this is it. Okay. So I want to tell you the things that I did to help me pass the Security Plus exam. Now, I just took in, first I failed, then I took it again, and I passed the CySA, CySA Plus, almost a month ago. Okay, so, and I said, as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead for my Security Plus. All right, so I'm going to tell you what I did, how I did it. If you just want to read about it, look in the description. I put everything right there for you to see, okay, if you don't want to hear me jabber on about it. So let me just show you. Let's get started, okay? All right. All right. So these are the study materials that I use. Now, if you go back to my CySA video, I talk about the things that I use for that. I didn't want to repeat that over here because those things, of course, did help me as well with the Security Plus, okay? But I got just a little bit more specific here as to what I used for Security Plus as opposed to the CySA, okay? So I went on Amazon. I got the Security Plus practice test. I did not get the handbook. I just used the practice test, okay? And with my study buddy, that I'm going to talk about a little bit later, we just went over the questions, okay? And that's how we further learned, at least one of the ways we further learn the materials. So I only got the practice test, okay? And so there's practice tests for each objective of the Security Plus, and there's a one major practice test at the end with about 100 questions, okay? Udemy, Jason Dion, I used his course on YouTube. PowerCert animated videos, I cannot tell you how good this channel is, okay? So please go there. And I did not do, he doesn't have Security Plus on his channel, but he does have Network Plus. So I looked at the Network Plus certification video. It's 3 hours and some change, okay? And I'm gonna talk about why I did that in a later slide, okay? The Google Play Store. This stuff was a lifesaver, all right? Because with the Google Play Store, I downloaded the Security Plus Pocket Prep, and the material, the questions in there, they were only questions, okay? They came from these two books, the CompTIA Security Plus and Study Guide, who is that? Daryl Gibson's Study Guide, 4th edition, okay? So when I first started, now after I passed the CySA, okay, I downloaded the Security Plus Pocket Guide. The first test I went through, I got like everyone wrong. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? You know? So, but I got better and better, you know, as I went along, which is strange, right? Because, you know, it should have been easier for me since the CySA is supposed to be harder or more advanced than the Security Plus, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. All right. So these are the primary study materials I use. I used other stuff, of course, but these are the primary things that I use and that I felt were super, super helpful in helping me to pass this test and the amount of time I was able to pass it, okay? All right, let's go to the next one. So now I want to tell you about the challenges that I had with Security Plus that I did not have with the CySA, okay? There were two major challenges. The first one was time. I had about 4 hours to take the CySA, okay? And I used almost every minute. I loved it. That I was in my comfort zone because the way that I am, I have to really think about something before I answer, okay? The CySA gave me time and space to think about my answer, okay, before I put it down, which is also the way I study, okay? I read the question and I'll read it like 2 or 3 times, and I'll actually, you know, sit there and really think about why am I answering the question this way. For Security Plus, ain't nobody got time for that, okay? Because you have 90 minutes to answer 90 questions, okay? Up to 90 questions, all right? So that's 1 minute a question. Listen, I know how I am, and I know how I take tests and how I need time to digest and all this other kind of stuff. That just was not going to work here, okay? So I really had to get out of my comfort zone to be able to study effectively, knowing I only had 1 minute per question, all right? So some of the things I did was I actually took time tests. So me and my study buddy, we set the timer, okay? And we just went through the thing, all right? Which really, there was a lot of anxiety for me, not for him so much, because not for him so much, but for me, I really had a lot of anxiety because I'm like, I don't want to answer it yet. I need to think about it a little bit more, but I had to get out of that. I had to get out of that frame of mind and really practice being able to quickly get the information, quickly view the choices, and quickly, pick an answer. All right. So looking for keywords in the questions, I had to get better at that. Now I already did that, like for the last test and other exams that I've taken. You really want to look for the keywords, but I really had to get much better at doing that for the Security Plus. All right. If I'm going to, be able to, in the time allotted, come up with a plausible answer, a good answer. Okay. So time was my first challenge. The next one was the volume of content. So I use Dion for both. He has the CySA and he has the Security Plus on Udemy. The CySA was about, how long was the CySA? Like 10 hours of content. I think it was like 10 hours of content. This one, Security Plus, was 15 hours. Okay, there was more content, there was more stuff to know. Okay, for Security Plus. All right, so that was a challenge as well. CySA was really concentrated on in the vulnerabilities and behavior, area, where as you know, Security Plus is much broader. Okay, so there was a lot more content in there. Now, oh, here it is. I have it here on the slide. 10.5 hours for CySA. So in order to help me with that challenge, to get over that hump, is I took notes when listening to Jason. I didn't take notes for the CySA. I just didn't. I didn't feel it was necessary. It was necessary here, okay? Because there's too much stuff to remember. There was no way that in a little less than 3 weeks, I was going to be able to remember and understand 15 hours of lecture, of content. I just was not, that wasn't happening, okay? Especially because I'm coming at this, I haven't even worked in the cyber realm yet, okay? I haven't, I don't have that, background experience like some people do. So, I feel like I'm starting a little bit behind from where other people may be starting, all right? But if you're new to the field, and you don't know as much as someone who's been there for a while knows, then these are the kinds of things that I think would help you. Someone who's been in for longer, I'm sure they'll have different ways, to be able to study and grasp the material. But for me, I had to take notes, and I say noteworthy. So for instance, there's of course, they talk about, what do they talk about? PKI and, the different kinds of keys. They talk about, the private and the public key and all that. So when he was talking about that, I took really copious notes about symmetric keys, because there are a lot of symmetric keys, okay, but I wasn't going to remember all those acronyms. And that was another thing too. So I had to come up with some kind of formula to help me remember. Well, my study buddy mentioned, okay, Cheryl, when he mentioned symmetric keys, first of all, think of animals, okay, because you have the two fish, what's the other one? Two fish and I forget the other one right now, another kind of fish, okay? So you have the animals. Then they end with a number. So you have the the acronyms that end with a number, and then you have the ones that end with an S, okay, like AES. Okay, I got that. End with S, animal, end with number. Those are my symmetric or single keys, all right? So those are the kinds of notes I would take. It would almost be like a mind map, right? So I would have symmetric, and then I would have the clues that let me know what a symmetric key is. Another thing was that all the symmetric keys are block, what is it called? I've been studying so much, stuff is just falling out of my brain, right? Algorithm, block algorithm, right? Except for one, which is stream. So those are the kinds of things I would take note on. I wouldn't just list all the keys, okay, or all the acronyms, okay. I would really have to associate it with something to help me get over that hump of there being so much information, okay. I can easily remember fish, numbers, and S's. Okay, I can do that. That's much simpler than remembering a whole long list of acronyms, right? All right. So taking notes to identify noteworthy type thing. That's what I mean by that, okay? Of course, my study buddy, I had studying with somebody. I did this for CySA as well, but studying with somebody here really, really helped me as well, okay? Because I got to see how he saw things, how he came to his answers, and he got to hear how I did it. And many times it was different. We used different, even if we came up with the same answer, it was with different rationale. It was with different clues in the question that we got to that answer, okay? And just in time research. So like I said, I didn't get the book. I did not get the Security Plus book. I just got the practice exams, okay? So when we got to a question, and there were many questions like this, okay, where I did not know what any of the choices were, had never seen it, never heard of it, nothing like that, okay? At that moment, all right, so we would attempt to get the answer. Many times we did not get it right, sometimes we did, but at that moment, if I was like, I have never heard of this, I don't know what that is, we go to Google and we research it right then and there. Okay, so that's the just-in-time research. Okay, it's not about listening to everything Jason said in a whole 15-hour block. Okay, and then going back and no, just in time. Okay, this is the section we're on. Let me go hear what Jason has to say about that. Okay, let's get back to these questions. All right, we need to do a little further research. Let's go on Google. Okay. So that's the way that I was able to overcome the time and the volume challenge. Okay, volume meaning there was just a lot of stuff, okay, that you have to study for this thing. All right, now the last thing I want to tell you is some exam tips, okay, the things that help me achieve the Security Plus, in less than 30 days. Before the exam, diversify your study materials. Don't just use one thing. Don't even use two things, okay? You saw on the first slide all the things I said I used, and it was even more than that, okay, that I used to get this information to really help me understand this. So diversify your study materials. Study with someone else, even if that person knows nothing about this subject. Get your sister, your brother, your friend, your mom, your dad. Hey, can y'all ask me some of these questions, okay? And study with them and explain to them, okay, this is why I think it's this answer, or or it's not that answer, okay? That's really helpful, being there with somebody to bounce these ideas off of, and like I said, even if they don't understand it, they may still have some perspective, because everybody deals with cyber. If you're on the internet, then some stuff, okay? They may still have some perspective about the things that you're studying, okay? So get with a study buddy, even if it's not somebody who's well-versed in cybersecurity. Understand why you choose your answers. I'm pretty sure that I got on my study buddy's nerves because when he would answer, I would ask, why did you pick that one? And I would do the same thing. Why did I pick that one? And it just seems right is not an answer. There had to be some thought process there for me to say, okay, it's this one and not that one. even on the ones where I did not know what the choices were, like I had never seen that acronym, I didn't know what that stamp stood for. If I picked something, then I would say, okay, I picked this one because I think the P in the acronym may stand for something, okay? Or, so there had to be some kind of rationale behind the answer. And that's the kind of thing you want to bring out, okay? Because sometimes I was wrong, but sometimes I was right. Okay, the P actually was for that. Okay, so really take the time to understand why you're picking a certain answer. Okay, and that's why I love the practice exam book, because it gave a really great explanation about what the right answer was and why those other ones were wrong. Okay, I love that about that book. Study something else. Okay, so I went to a leadership development program for a month. Okay, March last year, and one of the questions they asked in my group was, "What's the best way that you learn?" And one of my answers was to learn something else. Okay, it's like you don't go directly at the thing. You know, you get to it indirectly, right? So what I did was I looked at the PowerCert videos, and I looked at the networking training. All right, which was really good. It's only 3 hours. It's very good. It's animated, so you can see all the cables and the connections and the radius. I mean, it was just really, really good. Okay, so it wasn't directly related to security, but it was very, very helpful. You know, when it came to me, you know, knowing why these things are the way they are in the Security Plus. All right, so learn some, even if it's not networking A plus or CCNA or whatever. Okay, learn something else, because you're going to hear these terms in those other things, right? And you're going to see the relationship between that stuff and what you're doing in security. All right, and that's always a really good way to help you further grasp and understand the content. Okay, read current events. All right, and I have a link here. Any kind of thing you can subscribe to about what's going on in cyber. And so don't just read it, like talk to somebody about it. So before we took the exam, my study partner, I had read something about how Mozilla is redoing how they provide their certificates. Okay, and you know, we had a discussion about that. All right, because what that does is it takes what you're learning off of the paper, off of the exam paper, okay, and it puts it in the real world. You see how this stuff that you're talking about, that you're learning about, is actually being applied every day, which was important for me because, like I said, I have not worked in this area like that yet. Okay, I've only been involved in cyber as far as, you know, creating course content and curricula, okay, with subject matter experts. Okay, so reading current events about the various, you know, malware that's coming out, the different things that are happening with online, you know, what Google is doing, what others are doing to help ensure your safety, you know, all of that was helpful. All of it was helpful. Mind maps. Now, mind maps, I mentioned that already about the symmetric and asymmetric, right? So what you can do is you can take something like, to do a mind map, something like this. This is my Bluetooth speaker, all right? You can take a picture of a Bluetooth speaker and then mind map around it. What are the concepts that you're talking about that are related to Bluetooth speakers, okay? One of the things Jason talks about is blue snarfing and whatever the other one is. I forget what it is now, but it's about, you know, security for Bluetooth, right? You can talk about that. The networking concepts related to how this kind of stuff works, you know. So take a picture, all right, not just a whole bunch of words. Take a picture and put it in the middle, and then mind map around it. You know, take a picture of a computer, take a picture of a television, of a mobile phone, okay, and do your mind mapping around that. What are the things that are related to this particular thing? One of the things that I did with the asymmetric stuff and the symmetric was, where is it? The Diffie-Hellman, right? One of the things that's related to is VPN. The ECC, okay, is related to being efficient and being used in mobile devices, okay? Cars, a picture of a car. right? And air gap, and how that's used with that. So it's really because of the volume, because there's so much stuff to know in Security Plus, doing simple mind maps like that and being able to visualize an actual thing, okay, and then take pictures in your own house of those things, okay? Don't take it off the internet. Take pictures of your own stuff, put it there, and like write the concepts around it that are related to that thing, okay? It'll really, really help you, especially because there is just so much content, okay? And don't expect to see the practice questions on the exam. Okay, let's just start right there. I said the same thing for CySA. Okay, don't do that. Don't expect to see the same questions. All right, now go study with that in mind. Okay, I'm not going to see the same question on the test. Okay, now you may see 1, 2, or 3, but do not expect to see any. All right, is what I'm saying. So that's before the exam. Now during the exam, be sure to relax. Now, this was important for me because that ticking clock in front of me, that was very hard to deal with, especially given the fact that, like I said before, I need time to think about things. So knowing that I only had 60 seconds per question could have caused a lot of anxiety, all right? But, I really was able to bring it down a notch or two. I know that I'd be okay. I know what this stuff is. I've done all the preparation. I'm going to pass this test. All right. Pace yourself. Even though that is the case, I do want to relax. I did keep an eye on the clock. So some of the questions I knew right away. It took me 2 seconds to answer. Okay. Which gave me more time for the next one. And now the next one may have taken me, instead of a minute, like a minute and 10 seconds or something, but so I was borrowing from that other time. So be sure you pace yourself, you keep an eye on the time, you know how many questions you have left. It's very clear on the screen. It will tell you how many questions you have left and how much time you have left. All right. Quickly flagging questions. That was another thing that I had to get used to doing, that I had to practice and get used to doing. Okay. Now with the CySA, I could read a question 2 or 3 times, okay, and say, you know what, I'm going to answer it, but I'm going to flag it because I'm not sure about it, and I'm going to. Security Plus ain't trying to do that, okay? I did not have time to read the question 2, 3, 4 times, okay, before I chose something. So if I didn't know it right away, some of them are kind of long, you have to read the scenario. Or if I couldn't get it on the second one, I chose the first thing that I thought was the answer and I flagged it. I always answered it though. I didn't leave anything blank, but I did flag it because I said, okay, I'm going to have to come back here at the end to check this answer again. All right. Just in case I got to the end and didn't have any time left. I wanted to be sure everything, was answered. All right. So quickly flagging. Okay. You ain't got time to be up there, analyzing stuff. Okay, again, look for keywords, which is a really good way to quickly get through the question. And also look at the way the answers are, like, because many times the answers are not grammatically correct for the question that they're asking. Okay, that's one of the things you can look for. Okay, all right, so make sure you're paying attention to that. And use the paper and pen that they give you. Okay, so ask for the paper and pen if they don't offer it to you. And some of the questions, it'll be like, okay, you have 2 servers, server A and server B, and you have to do this thing to this one and that to that one. I would actually draw that out really quickly, because if I can see the thing, that's just easier for me to be able to determine, okay, so this is here and that's there, then this needs to do that, So I'm a very, visual. I like to see things visually, not just as words on the paper. Okay, so take advantage of the pen and paper, if you feel like that'll be helpful to you. All right. So that's it. That's what I did before the exam and during the exam, and it turned out great. I was nervous. I was not as confident with the Security Plus as I was for CySA. For CySA, I was so confident it was scary. Like I was scared. I was so confident. I was like, man, I need to take this down a notch or two, right? But I did not, I was not as confident for this one as I was for CySA, again, because of those two major things, the time and the amount of information. I knew that I had to learn and understand before I went into this thing. I did not see any questions that I studied. None, not one worded the way, that it was in the practice test. Now, the exam that I got off of off of Amazon, they had 1,000 questions, I think. I think it was 1,000 questions, right? Of course, I didn't go, that's a lot of questions. I didn't go through all of them. But I didn't see not one of those on there. So you really have to look closely. You gotta, it's a writing exercise too. Okay, it's not just knowing about, the good best practices, the right answers, and security. Is really being able to read those questions and really understand what they're asking for. Okay, so but you guys will do fine. You'll do great. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Okay, because like I said, less than a month. But I diversified my materials. I heard these concepts from different people in different ways, the practice test, all that stuff. Okay, so thanks for listening and good luck on your test. Okay, if you have any other questions about anything that you're thinking about doing to prepare for the test, just let me know. Okay, put it in the in the comment section, and I will be happy to chat with you about that. Okay, so I'll see you here next time. All right, bye-bye.